What's up, everybody? How we doing this morning? We got some energy? Hey, that's what's up. I love it. I love getting first talk of the morning because I get to set the pace. So I'm very excited to be here as always. Um, I get to talk about making this a year-round business. I really love that I get to deliver this message. It's one of those things that nobody talks about consistency a lot because it can be a tough thing for a lot of people, but I'm here to give you guys some solutions today that hopefully you'll get excited about. So who here is familiar with the ups and downs of sales? Everybody, right? You know, mentally, financially, but what if it didn't have to be that way, at least on a week-to-week basis, right? Imagine having a business that's so well layered that you never have to ask yourself if, you're going to get a paycheck for that week or you're going to hit bonus that month, if you're going to hit the minimum for your goal. I haven't asked myself any of these questions in years because how I decided to run this Cutco thing, right? So let's dive in a little bit. So first thing, I'll just say we have a problem in our business right now. Does anyone love working fairs and shows, by the way? Every hand should go up. You're here, right? So does anyone think that this program is just freaking amazing? Right? So does anyone wish, by the way, that they could just sit at a booth and sell all day long? Wouldn't that be awesome? So that's the problem, though, is the thing is fairs and shows are such a sick opportunity and they're so much fun that we think that that's all we need in our Cutco business a lot of the time. I'm here to tell you guys that that's not going to be the most efficient way to run this business, especially when you're starting out. See, the thing is, we end up relying on a lot of our bigger shows or our show weekends for income, but we know that we don't have killer events every single weekend, right? So essentially what we do is what we're always warned about when it comes to business and investing, which is putting all your eggs in one basket, right? So what happens if your show flops or your show gets rained out? State Fair, Texas. But just like with anything, we need to diversify for success, right? Diversify for success. The CSP opportunity is really meant to be a multi-layered business that allows you to thrive consistently. So keep in mind that it's got to be a multi-layered business. The fair and show opportunity is amazing, but there's plenty of expenses that go along with it. A lot of people never take into account a lot of the money that they end up spending on shows, and they end up in a hole. There's nothing wrong with spending money to make money. You need to spend money to make money a lot of time. But why spend all that money and not really maximize the opportunity that you're getting from that investment? And of course, I'm talking about actually following up with customers after you work the booth, following up with your service call leads, or even just making sure you're showing up at your absolute best every single day at that booth. So take into consideration what you're paying per hour in each area of your business and what you're profiting per hour too. If we rely on just shows constantly, we're paying to talk to clients every single time we interact with the client, when there's other ways to do that as well, right? So I look at events as the cornerstone of my business and I absolutely love it. But I can't even imagine if I didn't have other things running for me simultaneously. That'd just be a disaster. So not even profitability, but when it comes to hitting your sales goals for the year that you're breaking down by month, you need to make sure that you have some other things that are in your control to help you get to that goal, right? Because when you think about it, you really don't know who's going to show up at your show that day. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. There's a lot of variables that go into shows, and there's some things that are a little bit more controllable, right? So it's nice to use fairs and shows as a keystone, like I do, but have a safety net to fall into if necessary, which I'll talk about some of those in a bit here. So I just want to talk about consistency in our business because it's truly a beautiful thing. The misconception with sales is that it has to be up and down, and it really doesn't have to be. Your ups and downs should be sale to sale and day to day. They should never be week by week. There's so much opportunity throughout the week to create CPO in different areas. You should never have to worry about getting a paycheck or hitting your goal for that week. So it really makes me wonder sometimes too. I'm like, what do people do throughout the week if they're just working events? Like, what do you do Monday through Thursday? Do you just not stay busy? Like, if you aren't running another business, going to school, or doing something that's taking at least 20 hours out of your week during the week, you really should be adding adding something else in to start generating income, right? So that's just a belief of mine. But the thing is, it's just so nice to make your schedule for the week and know that even if things don't go perfectly, you're still going to be selling enough to hit your goals. It feels really great. So what I love about consistency is the peace of mind. So peace of mind allows you to focus on what's important rather than worrying all the time, right? So we spend so much time and energy worrying where energy should be spent growing our business. So this is why people, tell you to have an emergency fund for when it comes to finances, because that will give you peace of mind to invest and manage your money better when you know you're covered. So, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute too. But thing is, you could look at like service calls, for example, each week as your emergency fund for CPO for the week, right? What's your emergency fund for CPO for the week? Just so it's your buffer, basically, in case the show doesn't go great or something comes up. Consistency in your business also allows you to live a better lifestyle. I'm all about lifestyle. It's never fun to go through seasons in your business where you feel like you need to wait a few months until things are thriving again. So the beauty of what we do is we create our lifestyle and we create our income, right? So, and seriously, name another job where if you really wanted to, you could go out and pick up a sample kit, sell $4,000 that week, and literally have $1,000 in your account that next Friday. Nowhere. So consistency allows you to work when you want to, not because you have to, right? It's all about working because you want to, not because you have to. So I'll tell you, in my years in Cutco, I've never been like, oh crap, taxes are coming up, tuition's coming up, I got to go sell more. I've always had a focus on living a stress-free life where I was always afloat. And consistency is one of those things where if you develop it in one area of life too, it's going to seep into other areas of your life in general. So, who wishes they could like consistently hit the gym, right? Or consistently have an amazing relationship, or consistently learn. When you learn to be consistent in your Cutco business, that consistency muscle is going to get built. So every other area of your life will get easier to be consistent in because you have that mindset and you have that discipline for what it takes, essentially, right? So most importantly here, let's talk about layers to add to your business. So there's so many other ways to generate CPO in your business and layering and supplementing with your shows, right? So layering your business is where some of your bigger weeks and your bigger months are going to come from. Literally all of my biggest months have been a combination of at least 3 layers of my business all running simultaneously, at least 3. So service calls, one of my favorites is service calls. Y'all need to realize that this is part of what you're paying for when you work shows is service calls, right? Actually doing your service calls after a show, especially if they're out of town, can have a huge impact on your weekly sales. I remember plenty of shows where I worked out of town and I maybe sold $1,000 or something at the event. Wasn't so exciting. And then I went out the next day and sold $3-4 on service calls and saved my weekend, right? So, they can be so much more than that, though. They can literally be some of the biggest weeks of your career. Jason Jeffrey won the CSP push last year, if y'all remember, and he was doing mostly service calls. The guy was having 30, 40K weeks off of just service calls. I moved to Texas this year and I had no past customers. Didn't have a ton of shows to work. So I went out and grabbed a bunch of pink sheets. I booked like 12 appointments and sold $10,000 one of the first weeks I was in Texas, just off a service call pink sheets, because I wasn't going to make excuses. If you guys aren't taking advantage of these, you're really missing out. Even doing service calls for your past customers. Guys, these are such a layup. It's easy to call a past customer and tell them that they're due for a sharpening. And what's great is they already know you, they already trust you, and they're most likely going to buy from you. Plus, it's a ton of fun building that relationship too. So I remember a few campaigns in college actually where I literally only saw my past customers for service calls, and most of my campaign sales would come from that. And I was winning scholarships just off of seeing my past customers a lot of time, and I loved it. So the other layer of my business is service events. And what's great about this is you guys will get to hear Luke and Adam talk a little bit more about these, and you're going to want to start crushing it with them right after that talk for sure. But you're literally creating CPO and an event out of thin air. It's like the coolest thing. You could literally grow your business by 20% just by implementing these events. So you can do them after you're and when you're out of town, like an event in a hotel, like You know, we every time we go to Tucson to work, we always book a bunch of hotels for service events after, and it works out great. Um, and The thing is, too, we've toyed around this year with the idea of week-long service events, and we've had reps selling 20, 30 grand just from 5, 6 days of working these events. It's a really, really exciting layer to add to your business. Um, the other one that I'll talk about here is marketing follow-up. So past customer marketing is a layer that can be huge for you. So where a lot of my growth came from this year personally was really honing in on past customer marketing. If you work with Vast Action, they literally help you set up your entire campaign to be designed around a sale promo, so that your customer for your customers, so that you can generate an extra 10, sometimes 50 grand for yourself each campaign. I know Josh will sit on the phone and write up like $100,000 worth of Gutco just over the phone. It's wild. So this past fall was the first fall where I literally took weekends off from working events to sit on the phones and sell just as much, if not more, on the phone as I would have at a kiosk or an event. Of course, it's still important to work kiosks because they're freaking sweet, in my opinion. I love them. But any day you aren't, how cool would it be to write up a couple grand over the phone from your home or from your office, right? It's exciting. So it's such a fun layer too, because you get to chat and catch up with your past customers all day long. And selling to your past customers is, as I said, it's just a layup because they love you and they realize that they don't. And you got to realize too, you don't have to be in front of your past customers face to face in order to sell them. So those are the other 3 layers on top of my traditional events that I work. I use a combination of them throughout the year to make sure that I'm always having consistent, solid weeks and consistent, solid months. So a lot of people have the goal to grow their sales and have their best month ever, right? Every month. And I'll tell you that that does not come from just working in one area of the business. So I want to talk about also strategically timing your layers, because when it comes to layers in your business, the most important part is your timing throughout the year. So you don't want to be super heavy on your marketing to your past customers when you're literally working like your biggest fairs of the year and you're working like every day at a fair, right? You just wouldn't have time to follow up. Simple as that. The key is to know when to implement different layers of your business and when another layer is maybe not there, you know? So for a lot of people in the Southwest, our shows are in the fall and the spring, and the summer is usually a little bit slower. So the summer is the perfect time for us to be doing service calls and running sale promotions. An example of this would be in Arizona. So I've been the assistant coordinator for the Arizona show team for maybe like 4 or 5 years now or something like that. But an example of this, we don't do anything in August. We did like 10 grand as a team in August. There's just 0 events. So this is the perfect time for our reps to run a back to school promotion or run a price increase promotion every couple of years, right? In order to generate CPO that month. Where a lot of people weren't selling anything in August, you run a sale promo, you could be selling 10, 20 grand that month, right? Or more, you know? So where most people would just chalk it up as their slow month, the real way to run this business is to have your best month ever regardless. Just figure it out. So, and what's great about this too is it allows you to put your layers into your schedule and know what your business is going to look like. That's crucial. And by the way, you don't have to go do service calls anymore because you need money in CPO. You know that maybe August and May are like your service call months, and each summer you're going to have other things going on those other months, and you're just going to go heavy on service calls those too, right? So a lot of you might have other commitments in life too, right? So make sure you're planning your year and your layers of your business around that. So if you have kids and you want to spend time with them over summer break, you might not want to book 15 service events that campaign, right? So if you're an athlete and the peak of your training interferes with working events, run a sale promo instead, right? Follow up from home. Make your business work for you and realize that there's enough ways to generate CPO that it's compatible with literally any lifestyle and literally any goal. So like a lot of CGC reps love that they take the weekends off. Some event reps love that they have the weekdays off to chill. I do. So if you're booking service calls, you can do those whenever the heck you want. So just figure out what works for you, but make sure you're constantly working when you have weeks set aside to work. I'll tell you guys right now that if I'm not traveling or I'm out of town or I'm on vacation or something like that, I'm working my butt off whenever I'm home. I take plenty of vacations and little trips throughout the year. where it doesn't really make sense for me not to work when I have the opportunity to. So the point is, I always fill my schedule when I'm home with something, right? So I like to talk about financial consistency as well, because I think that's a big part of running a consistent business. Consistency in your finances is one thing that's just super important when it comes to this topic. So you can be selling a lot, but still feel like you're having ups and downs financially, which is never a great thing. If you're layering your business properly, working year round, you should be paying your expenses with your weekly income and saving your bonuses. That's always been my strategy. Um, and this is how it's always worked for me. I always use my weekly checks to pay bills and put my bonus away in savings because I kind of like to chunk things. It's how my brain operates. So if you're having all of your show charges hit on bonus, I would suggest trying a different method. There's serious value that comes from getting a big check at the end of the month that teaches you discipline with large sums of money too. That's one thing I really like. So most of you should be at a point in your business where you're, starting to save for your future, you're saving for your retirement, investing in properties, etc. I think that it's important as well to make sure that you know that your bonus, if you have a surplus after investing, to invest that in some or put that into upcoming expenses. I've actually heard of some CSPs that will get their big bonus in January after they crush it in December, and they'll pay all their rent or all their car insurance, etc., for the year just to get it out of the way. If they have a surplus after they're investing. So again, the whole idea here is just to create peace of mind, so that way you can focus on generating more CPO and growing your business. It's just an amazing thing in Cutco that you can create a year-round business with year-round income, still have tax write-offs, paying very little in taxes, and still have the freedom you want to travel, or have a family, or run another business, or whatever you're passionate about. For me, I travel a lot, right? So, and this doesn't come without discipline, so start working on it immediately. So I just have a couple questions for you guys here that I want you to jot down for you to wrap up, or for me to wrap up here. So the first one is, what can you implement leaving this conference that will create more consistency in your business? What can you implement leaving this conference that will create more consistency for you in your business? What's going to be the thing for you that's going to make the difference? It's all fun and dandy to talk about adding a new layer, developing consistency mindset, but you need to take action. Massive action is the cure all the problems. So make sure you already know what you need to do, and just find a system for accountability. Find an accountability partner for setting up this new layer or whatever you want to do. Sign up for the next few service events in your division maybe. Run your first team meeting as a CGC. Book some pink sheets this week for a change. There's plenty of things that you can do to get started, but what are you going to do right after this conference? Second question for you guys is, what are the CPO gaps in your schedule for your business, and how can you fill it? What are the CPO gaps in your schedule for your business, and how can you fill it? I found the easiest way to start creating a year-round business is to start figuring out where you have gaps. I guarantee every one of you have 1 month at least out of the year where sales are usually a little bit lower, right? What if you just focused on that 1 month? What if you turn that into your best month? What's crazy is May for me used to be a month that was always down a little bit. And I started doing a ton of service calls for the push once I got out of school, and I wasn't taking finals and stuff. And last year, May was literally one of my biggest months of my career and of the year. So you can literally take one of your smallest months and turn it into one of your biggest months with the right layering and the right intentionality. So find those gaps and fill it. So the thing to wrap your head around here is Cutco should be a year-round business. The ups and downs, they don't need to be there. So we're so blessed here to have an opportunity that allows us to generate income in so many different ways, when you think about it. So yes, we still sell knives at the end of the day, but there's so many different ways to do it. So layer your business, work on other areas besides just shows, and I can see all of you guys selling 2, 3, 400K per year and beyond with a very consistent schedule. So thank you guys, and let's have a great 2019.